Good morning, crafty peeps. I am so excited about our newest Craftology box for October. It is totally stinking cute. So as you know, you should have Cartabella's Snow Fun. And I'm telling you, it is just so cute. Okay, anyway, enough of my gooberiness. Okay, so in your contents, you should have some score tape. Okay, and you should have your papers. Now, I'm just like you. I don't have everything yet, and I will be, but we wanted to go ahead and get started on these tutorials so that everything will be on time for you. And so here is what we've got. So today I'm going to do a tutorial, and I already made one, and I'm going to make another just to show you kind of what I did. This little snowflake, it is so cute. So you have a couple options. What I did for mine is I took a 12 by 12 very thin sheet of chipboard. Now on the back of a lot of your, let me see if I can find one. Here's one from Authentique. Hold on one second. I apologize. I should have had this ready to show you. So sometimes on the back of your things, you may have some of these left over. I like to save them, okay? Because this is a nice thin chipboard that's bendable, and so I really like using these. But lucky me, Kat, when we went to visit each other at a crop, she had got a bunch of 12 by 12 sheets of chipboard, and she gave me like a ton of them. So, so I'm kind of stocked up for a while, but I still always save these. I'm a hoarder is what my family says. I'm a crafty hoarder. I can't help it. It's a problem. I believe that anything and everything can be saved and altered or something. It's kind of crazy. So, or you can just actually make the ornament without doing that. You can just use the strips of paper. But today I'm going to show you using the chipboard strips. And I've already pre-cut mine and I pre-painted them, but I'm going to show you real fast. I'm going to let you know the measurements. So, each one of these strips, I just use the whole 12 by 12 piece just in case I needed extras, okay? And I basically cut them in 3/4 inch strips, okay? Let me see. I think one of them ended up being a little bit, no, those are all right. Okay, so that's 3/4. Okay. All right. Whoop. Okay, so you will also get some stickles, so you'll need those. And if you have art glitter glue, you can use that too. I'm going to use the art glitter glue, but you can definitely use your score tape to adhere your paper. So let's get started. I use my little silicone mat here. You know, I think they have them at Daiso or any cheap Dollar Tree. I'm going to use a really cheap old nasty paintbrush because I don't care. You know, I'm just kind of making sure that this gets covered. And I'm using Anita's True Red, but you can use any color you want. So I'm only going to paint one side of this. And I just kind of pretty much liberally, I put it on there, but then again, I don't want it like overwhelmingly soggy because remember, this is thin chipboard. And if you make it too soggy, it's going to turn your chipboard into mush. So, and I'm sorry if you hear that sound in the background, it's my little fan. And it is going to be 105 degrees today here in Texas. Yes, we have not hit fall yet. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint these sides. And you can do 2 coats if you want to. I'm just going to do 1. And then I'm going to set it aside to dry. Okay. And you know what? I might do 2 coats on this. This looks like it needs a little bit more. My favorite kind of paint to use is chalk paint. And I know that Tamara has some of it in her store. I'm pretty sure I will double check on that for you. and I will see if she can get some red so that it will be available for you if you want to get it. Or you could even use the blue snowflake color. I like that one too, but I'm saving that one for a different project. I'm going to let this dry and then I'll be right back. Okay, so it only took a couple minutes. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get out my stickles, and I kind of just tap on it real quick. I cleaned off my brush, and I'm going to go ahead and apply just a little bit of stickles, and I'm going to go ahead and brush that on here. And then again, I'm going to set it aside to dry. Once they are all dry, which I already have a bunch of them made, so I'm going to put this to the side. And actually, I did not use the stickles, and I wish I had on my particular project, but I used, again, the red, and I used some Mod Podge, and let me see if I can find this. I don't even know if they have this at Hobby Lobby anymore. It's just called glitter. No, that's not the right one. The one I used was more like a fine dust. And I'm sorry, hold on one second. Okay, it just disappeared. You gotta love that. Anyway, it was just a really fine glitter. And I kind of wish I had used the stickles because it's a lot less messier. I will definitely guarantee that. So just be prepared that this is a little bit of a messy project. So on my, while I'm letting that other one dry real quick, I'm going to go ahead and cut my strips. So I'm going to put my little mat to the side. And I'm going to remove this and go ahead and cut my papers. Let me grab my... I apologize for all the shuffling. I'm pretty sure I had it sitting on top. There it is, and I lied. It's not on top. Anyway, okay. So minus all my little fussing around. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get out my scoreboard, because actually I just realized something. I don't need to use the, I'm debating on this one if I want to use these on the front instead. But I'm still going to do the strips the same size at the 3/4 inch line. And I like, maybe I'll stick with the stripes. I will do that. Okay. So I'm just going to cut all these strips out. At 3/4 inch. And you can distress the edges if you want to with a red or any color you prefer. Sorry, I'm just making sure this is lined up right. I don't want any crooked lines. I always hate it when I get to the end because I'm afraid it's going to move. And this one should be approximately 3/4 inch. Okay, so now I've already got my strips pre-made, and I don't know why I took this off because I end up using my cutting board, but I'm going to put this back on here, and I'm going to grab my strips that I already have done here, and for me, I'm not going to distress the edges, so I'm going to get my glitter glue, or you can use your tape, either one, and I'm just liberally going to, and I kind of like this little scribble motion. And then I want to definitely want to make sure you get the ends so that they don't lift. And you want to apply enough where they will not lift. And then I'm just going to lay it on here. Put it on its side to make sure that it's lined up properly. And then I'm going to take my bone folder and make sure it's lined up and mash it down. Now before you start doing anything with it, put it to the side and let it dry. Trust me, you'll want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this one, and I'm going to continue to do the same thing. And like I said, I don't know if there's really any science in how many you use, because you can use as many loops or as little amount of loops as you want to until it's like completely full. I'm thinking on the last one I used probably about 7 strips, probably a little more than I needed. But that was my first one ever, and since I didn't follow along with a tutorial or anything, which I probably should have, I had never made one before, so I had a couple errors, but now I have that all worked out, and now you won't have that issue because I'm going to show you without the errors what I did. So I'm just going to finish all these strips, and then we'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I totally realized you should probably not do this on this particular mat because you do put a lot of paper on here, and I had to wipe off a lot of glitter. So you may want to keep it on your silicone mat and then wash it in the sink once you're done. So I'm going to get out my stickles again, and this time I was going to use my brush, but I couldn't seem to get all the red paint off. And if you get any red paint on here, it's going to come out onto your little thing. So I'm just going to squiggle this around a little bit, and I'm going to take my finger and just lightly wipe it across and then put it to the side. And that gives you that little sparkle without creating a huge glittery mess like I did. And I did find that it was called Extra Fine Glitter by Treehouse. I really, if you don't want to make it that messy, I would just stick with the stickles. And also there's a glitter paste that Tamara has in the extended kit. So if you want to do the blue one and choose a different piece of paper to do this that has a blue on there, it'd be really cute. Or you could use the opposite side of this one, and that would be super cute too. With the little kids and the birds, I love that one too. I almost did that one on this side, but I didn't. I should have. Really doesn't take that much. I mean, this is actually an old bottle of Stickles, so. But you, of course, will have a new bottle of Stickles in your kit. And I love me some glitter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get out a ruler. Actually, I can kind of do that now before they're dry, because I'm just going to make a little light mark. And I know I shouldn't use a pen, but I'm going to cut through that anyway, so they are not going to see that. I'm going to mark it right at the 6. Only because my cutting board is not long enough to let me know where the 6-inch line is. Okay, and then I'm going to cut these strips, and then I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. I ended up having to make 2 more strips. So, because I believe in this one I had 15, and I just want to make sure I have enough when I do this again. So, I wanted to show you real quick, in case you were interested, because all my other pieces had glitter on it, I had to go ahead and I have got to make a couple extra. So, I just kind of wiped off my brush, and I'm just going to, you know, lightly put my Mod Podge on here, because if you do it too heavy, it sometimes dries up in a white coat. And then I just take my glitter and sprinkle it on there. I'm going to do the same thing for the next piece. Again, make sure you're doing this on a craft mat or your silicone mat, because if you do it on your other one, you're gonna be mad at me because it'll get stuck and it won't come off. I already figured that out with acrylic paint. So, okay, and then you're just gonna set it aside to dry. And then you'll do the same thing, paper. I always glitter it first before I paper it. But in the meantime, while I'm waiting, I can go ahead and do my stickles on these real quick. Save myself some time. Actually, I only need 2. I'm just going to run that real fast. I'm going to move that one out of the way so I don't accidentally use it. And just run my finger across. And I always have lots of little wipies with me because I am a hot mess. Alright, once these dry, I'm going to go ahead and glue these on the back and then cut them also, and then we'll be ready to continue. Okay, for this part, I have all my strips except for my other 2 that I'm waiting to dry. And I'm going to grab some of these little things, or you can use clothespins or something like that. So I just grab a bunch of these, and you're going to see why I'm going to use these in just a minute. It just makes it a lot easier and allows me to work a lot faster on this project. So I'm going to take my loop and I'm going to go I'm going to make a loop, basically like a teardrop shape. Okay, and I'm going to get my glue gun. I'm going to go ahead and do a really quick strip right there at the very end, and I'm going to close it. And I don't want you to burn yourself, but I've been doing this for so long that I just don't really burn myself anymore. And actually, before I put that on, I'm gonna like hold it, squeeze it, and push it out a little bit just to make my little teardrop shape. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and put it aside. I'm not really worried about the extra glue right now at this point because you're gonna have a lot of extra glue. I'm going to go ahead and work with my shape on this one first before I glue it together, I guess, just to get it going. And hold it down. And you can either, I always just wipe it off. I mean, my glue gun is not set that hot right now, so it's okay. And I'm just going to put these to the side. I'm going to do the same thing until I basically finish them all. Once I finish them all, I will be back. Okay, so now I took all my little clips off and all of these are ready to go. And what I did was I took a scallop punch And this one's a fairly decent size one. It's a little under 3 inches. Let's see what this one is. I mean, it doesn't have to be specific. This is 2.5. So just one of your larger scallop punches. And I did 3. And the reason why I'm doing 3 is because I hate doing math. Okay, so I'm going to take one of these and I want to figure out my center. Okay, because you're going to see why you're going to need to know that in just a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and fold it this way, and then I'm going to go ahead and, well, actually, I want it to be a really good line. So I'm going to mash that down, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. This is just going to find me my 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock line. Okay, because I want to make sure, hold on one second. Okay, sorry about the interruption. It was our eye doctor. They needed to reschedule with a different eye doctor. So anyway, okay, so now I have my center, which is great. So I'm not actually going to use this piece, but this will allow me to know where my measurements need to be. So I'm going to go ahead and take a pen, and I'm going to scoot this down a little bit, and I'm going to go, okay, so this one is my 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and I'm trying to stay really close to where I need to be at, just to make a little dot. It's not a big deal, just want to make sure that you're as close as you can possibly get. Okay, so now I know. And then, hold on, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to poke a hole so I know my center. It's a lot easier if I know I'm kind of doing it underneath here. I know this is a strange thing, but I don't have one of those long punches. So I'm going to take a real pokey stick and I'm just going to push it through. And it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to get my exact center. Okay? Because this will make this project a lot easier if you do. Okay, so now that I have those measurements, I can go ahead and place my first one down. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue on the back of the tip. And I'm sorry, I'm going to move this a little bit closer to me so I can get that pretty much as I can into the center. And then I'm going to do the same with all my corners that I've chosen. Well, they're not really corners, but you know what I mean. And any of the excess stuff you can, I wouldn't suggest using your finger. I have a spatula too, but like I said, right now I don't have my glue gun set very high in heat, so I am okay. I'm going to turn it one more time. I'm just doing that little tip. I'm okay with not gluing it all the way down just yet. So now all I have to do is pretty much fill in, which is great. So now I'm going to go ahead and go along the sides and the very end. And we'll worry about the strings pretty much later on. So this time, last time I didn't do that right. I didn't do it this way, and I realized fairly quickly that I needed to do it almost like I did the dahlia and have a center and have my little clock scale there. It just makes it a lot easier in the end. And I'm just going to continue this on until it is full. And I will probably fast forward through this boring part for you. And then, before I get to my very end, actually I'm not going to fast forward it just yet. Let me show you real quick. So, I need to have a string on one of the pieces. So I'm going to get my ruler. And I just have this baker's twine, and my ruler is 18 inches, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the piece at 18 inches. Because I'm actually going to put it all the way in the center of one of my pieces, so I need to make sure. Just going to make a little loop and tie it at the end. I apologize that my friend keeps texting me over and over again. Okay, so hopefully that'll be the last text for the moment. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put it on one of my pieces. Just going to pat that real lightly and make sure I don't mess up my scissors. Probably I should have done that first. There we go. Okay. And I'm just going to tuck it on in there. Okay, then, so actually I have several extras this time, which last time I used up all of those loops, and so that is exactly why I want to let y'all know about my errors that I made while making this. And I may even try to pinch this one a little bit just because I want to make sure that that string stays in there really well. I'm going to take some tweezers and I'm just going to pinch it down just to hold that. I'm going to do it one more time, a little bit more up here. And wipe off the excess. And then pinch. Again, cleaning up all the excess. So now your little circle should look something like, well, your snowflake, shall I say, should look something like this. Now it's completely up to you. I think that this looks a little bit naked right there. And I see that this piece ends up being a little bit long, so I'm going to go ahead and take my scissors and trim it a bit and see if I like that better. That's why I always have a couple fill-ins. and I think it's looking really cute so far. Now I know that I have this ugly little end here, and that's why I made 3. Well, I'm going to go ahead and cover that up. Take my bone folder in there and just rub it down good. I'm not exactly worried about getting rid of all the strings just yet, because I've got some more gluing to do. And I left my little snowflakes over there. Hold on one second. So pretty much at this point, you're just going to embellish it. So I hope you all have enjoyed the tutorial. For me, I'm just basically going to use one of these little snowflakes. I know that in the extended kit you will have, there is a die cut that there is a snowflake, and there's a couple snowflakes, I think. They're really super cute. My only suggestion is that you want to stack the snowflakes on top of each other. I would use a piece of foam in the center down here to separate them a little bit, and so that I think looks pretty cute. But I want to find my center, and I want to make sure that one of these little diamonds is right there in the center. And I'm not even gluing all of this down, just that one little spot. So now I have this going up following this. And so now you can just embellish the rest of it with however you want to. There's lots of little tags and stuff that you could add on here. I used a little piece of bling and some little hollies. So, I mean, you can just make this look as cute as you want. So, I hope you all enjoyed the tutorial and have a wonderful and fabulous day. And until the next one, bye y'all. Mwah!